The Ink and Paint Club podcast is intended for mature audiences only, so don't tell your parents! Listener discretion is advised.
You're listening to the Ink and Paint Club podcast, your weekly home for animation reviews and discussions.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Ink and Paint Club podcast for this week. As always, I'm your host JD, and this week I've got a special guest with me here today, so everybody welcome Zephyr to the show.
Hey, I'm the dude who does stuff at the place with the things in non-sequential order. Hey guys, how you all doing today?
Yeah. Oh, well, thanks for being on the show, man. So this week we are going to be talking about the My Hero Academia movie that just came out.
Ooh, boy.
Yeah. Just a little before we get into the show, I'm really kind of surprised how this show has really blown up over the last couple of years. This is like I'm kind of attributing to like how Dragon Ball and Naruto blew up for Shonen Jump back in the day. This is like their new modern version of that.
Yeah, you see Naruto and Dragon Ball still going around. They still got high ratings. They still got people so invested. And My Hero is kind of like the new fresh thing that's around. I think it kind of overtook like when... Like, remember when Attack on Titan had this big phase that was going on, and then My Hero kind of took over? That's essentially what we got here.
Yeah, pretty much.
Can I share a quick story, by the way? Just before we get this started? Okay, so I'm a huge superhero fan. I love superheroes. I've loved it since, like, the original Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire. So, when I learned that there are actually superhero animes, mind you, my anime knowledge was very limited. It was up to Pokemon and Digimon and Yu-Gi-Oh! I didn't have much to go with. But when I heard that there was going to be a My Hero movie and I was going to be in my area, I'm like, oh, yes, please. Like, I'm going to go grab a friend and everything. So I got an AMC gift card and I got this movie. Like, I was able to go see it for free, pretty much. So that was that was a plus. So my friend and I meet up and I'm looking around for her and I can't find her anywhere. So by the time I find her, it's like 10 minutes till the movie starts. So we have to run over to the theater. So by the time we get there, the lines for popcorn are all like filled up. So we're just like, oh, what the heck? We'll just go sit down in the movie. Everyone in the theater is all dressed up for like My Hero stuff. I looked in and I was like, oh god, they got the shirts. There's one person dressed up like Deku. Like it's adorable, and the only spots are like right in the very front where you have to like crane your neck up. So I'm sitting there with my friend at the very front of the theater with no popcorn and the movie subbed. I thought it was going to be dubbed. That's what the website said.
Yeah.
But it's worth it, though. I highly recommend, if you ever get the chance to see an anime movie in theaters, jump on that, because there's going to be a bunch of rabid fans who are going to react and laugh and gasp and scream in joy like all the best parts. So it makes the experience a lot more interesting.
Yeah, that's really cool. I haven't seen too many anime movies in theaters. The last one I saw was when they released the first Digimon Tri movie into theaters, and yeah, we had a pretty good time with that. We didn't have nearly the kind of experience you had. It was pretty tame by comparison.
Oh, it was a lot different back in the day. Back in the day, when Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! And Digimon had their movies, the theaters were mostly filled with little kids and their parents.
They sure were.
And nowadays with anime movies, it's just filled to the brim with adults and nerds who are just like, yeah, I can't wait to go see this. I didn't see a single kid in that theater, so I'm just like, yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, totally. I definitely remember being a little kid, forcing my parents to see all three of those movies, actually.
Yep. They didn't understand, like, why don't you watch something different? I'm like, no, man, I want to go see Pikachu and Blue Eyes White Dragon and the Mon or whatever it's called. I thought Digimons were just Mons or whatever. Anyway, though, we're here to talk about the My Hero movie.
Right, yeah. So yeah, My Hero Academia, The Two Heroes, was in theaters over this last week, and it is pretty much what you expect a Hero Academia movie to be.
Yeah, if you've watched the anime and are a big fan of it, it pretty much feels just like a long, extended episode with bits and pieces here that you can tell they put a lot more effort into.
Right, yeah. So I'm just going to say straight up before we get into it that we will be talking full spoilers of the movie and probably parts of the anime too, so if you're not caught up or you haven't seen the movie yet...
Everyone dies, the end.
Oh yeah, everybody dies. Just everybody's dead. It's like the end of Infinity War. Everyone's dead.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So one of the biggest things for me in this movie, and this happens anytime an anime has a movie, it's trying to figure out where this fits chronologically.
Well, I think they addressed that. I think it takes place between seasons 2 and 3.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I gathered, because this happens sometimes after the sports festival, but before All Might and All for One have their big fight.
Yeah.
So sometime in between there, which I mean, it's good that they kind of placed it there. That way you can still have All Might in his muscle form doing stuff. But yeah, I was like looking at Deku. He hasn't had his costume change yet, so just trying to piece together where it was, if it was in chronological, because sometimes anime movies can just be like, this can fit anywhere. It's just whatever. It's just a little side adventure. It doesn't really have to be in any kind of order. But at least for My Hero Academia, it seems like the story is ongoing. There isn't like any like one-off kind of stories. Like I don't know.
No, I get what you're trying to say. They usually do that because then they have like original source material to work with, and that's good because then that gives them the freedom to really expand and do things that like aren't really in the manga or anything. I thought that was really cool. I basically considered this, like, when I was watching it, leaned over to my friend and I'm just like, yeah, this is basically anime Die Hard, and I love it.
Kind of, yeah, it's kind of what it is.
Oh, look, they're in some kind of tower. The terrorists show up and are trying to do a heist inside the tower, and a bunch of people, or like one or two people, have to like, get to the top and like figure out what's going on and avoid being... This is Die Hard. Come on. It's Die Hard.
It's anime Die Hard.
I love that, though. I love that they did that, though, and I like that they put a little bit of a twist on it, especially given how some characters were able to really shine here.
Speaking of characters, I mean, it's going to be something that happens with, a show like this that has like a large cast.
And a lot of fan favorites.
Yeah, a lot of, like, half of Class 1A is not... I'm not going to say they're not in the movie, but they don't have a role in the movie.
They're cameos, basically.
Yeah, and honestly, I was looking through the class. I didn't see... I mean, maybe you saw it, maybe I just didn't see them. I didn't see Shoji or Ojiro or Oyama, like, anywhere in the movie.
I didn't see them either. I felt like when they showed, like, Mina and Tsuyu and Invisible Girl... And then they briefly showed, like, Tokoyami for, like, a split second. I felt like they were prioritizing the ones that could be of most use, and also, like, I guess some kind of gender balance as well. Which, I mean, I guess that would make sense. Like, you gotta have Uraraka. You gotta have Yaoyorozu. Jiro, I thought, was a weird choice, but she actually did more than I thought she was going to. She was actually pretty useful. And then, of course, with the boys, Deku, Bakugo... Todoroki, Ida, like those ones you got to go with, and then you have like Kaminari and Mineta as like the comic relief. You've got a pretty well-rounded cast. It doesn't feel like they're going overloaded.
Yeah, I definitely think they picked the kind of the best ones that would fit the story and kind of move it along, and their power set would, lend itself well to the kind of story they were telling. But I mean, I'm sure it was kind of disappointing for some people if they were fans of like some of the,
my favorite frog girl hero wasn't in the movie.
I was kind of surprised. I figure Sue was like one of the favorite characters. I'm surprised she wasn't. She was kind of relegated to a cameo.
Yeah, I thought so too. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of her either, but I know exactly how huge her fan base is.
Mm-hmm. But she shows up for a little bit. Like, Sue, Mina, and Toru are like hanging out in a hotel room. I know Kota, the animal guy, and Sarah are like at a diner.
Yeah.
During it. And another thing that I find hilarious in these kind of like, we're adapting a cartoon into a movie, is they have to find all these really convoluted ways to make it's like, oh, this is why the character is here, and they always take stop for like a good minute to like explain, oh, this is why I'm here, and this is why I'm here, and it's like, I love all the dumb reasons they keep coming up with.
Well, thank you for explaining why this character is here. Does he have anything to do with the movie? No? Okay, then you didn't need to introduce him then.
Yeah, but it's like...
Like, imagine if Bakugo just gets a scene for like a minute, and it's like, this is why I'm here, and then he never shows up again. Like, that makes zero sense.
Yeah, but it's funny because like Todoroki he's the son of one of the main heroes in the world, so obviously he got invited. Bakugo won the sports festival.
Everyone seems to kind of pass over that fact, though.
Yeah, that's... Yeah. Yaoyorozu has rich parents, and a lot of them just like, oh, we tagged along. And I love every time it's like, oh, I had a couple extra tickets. That seems to be an excuse that comes up a couple times.
Yeah, it's just like, so what's Uraraka and Jiro doing there? Oh, we're the plus ones. Ah, okay.
I had a few plus ones.
A few, okay. It's because you're rich. We'll go with that. Yeah, Yorozu, whatever.
There you go. But yeah, I like this movie. I think like you said, it's basically anime Die Hard. But I think it tells a really nice, complete story.
It does. After thinking about it for a while, I think the title actually is what really helps set the movie up. The whole two heroes thing. It could mean a lot of different things depending on how you look at it. It could mean Deku and All Might. It could mean All Might and David. It could mean all sorts of different things. It could mean Deku and Melissa. And it's really cool how that title, when I first looked at it, I'm like, why two heroes? It doesn't make a lot of sense. But then, if you look at it from different perspectives, two heroes has a lot of different meanings. And that, for me, I had like a mind-blown moment. I'm like, oh, that's really clever. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I was trying to piece together who it was referring to. I took it as Deku and All Might, especially the final part of the big fight at the end.
That was intense. If you were in the theater for that, everyone's gasping. I remember one person in the back just filmed, no, please not my boy. And I leaned back and I'm like, are you serious? That was really intense though. Like, I love the big fights that they pull off in My Hero Academia. They're very intense. The Bones, the studio behind it, the ones who did Soul Eater and Full Metal Alchemist, they know how to do really great action. So to see it basically turned up to 11 here, I was really impressed with how they were able to make it all work.
Yeah, all the fight scenes in this movie are really impressive and really well choreographed. Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where it benefits from seeing it on a big screen, just to like soak in all of the detail of just like shit flying around and people firing off lasers and stuff and all that good stuff. So I mean, in this movie, it's with every kind of anime movie, it kind of centers around these new characters that they introduce. You've got David Shield, which the whole opening of this movie, I really thought was kind of cool that it shows All Might in his younger days. Like kind of like his first year or two of being a hero, and just like what kind of stuff he's into, and it even kind of put something into my head that I never really thought about, like what are superheroes in other countries like? Because obviously Hero Academia takes place in Japan, but
things are a little different over in America. You got those, what are those, Avengers, or whatever they're called.
Yeah,
a little different over there.
But yeah, this whole opening scene takes place, like, I think in California. So you see a couple of American superheroes, and they fighting an American supervillain. So, which honestly, if had they said this took place in Japan, I don't think it would have made any difference.
No,
but it's kind of a concept that I hope that the show kind of explores at some point, where there's superheroes all over the world. It's not just relegated to Japan, and I don't know. I'd be interested to learn how other countries kind of handle it. Yeah, if it's any different.
They probably will explore that at some point, but I think it was pretty cool how they transitioned from that to how. I think I did like the transition, but I felt like they could have maybe explored that more or something, like said, oh, this is how America heroes do this, but over here, like, or something like that. But I felt like maybe that wouldn't have made a lot of sense in the movie. Would have been a nice touch, but, you know.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think it's something I think they hope they cover at some point, but in the context of the movie, I think they just wouldn't have the time for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're introduced to David and Melissa Shield, which David is basically designed All Might's suit back in the day, and like was basically his sidekick. And Melissa is his teenage daughter that also wants to be a super scientist. And everybody goes to this big scientist island that just is out in the middle of the ocean.
Oh, that's convenient. Hey, Dave, did you ever see that big old flying island above your head? Nope. Not today. It's just random floating island. No, I that's actually really cool how they're able to show that. They show off everything. It's like a big giant convention, pretty much. And I'm thinking, this is where Deku would probably fit in very nicely. And he does. He geeks out so much. And I have this smile on my face while I'm watching. I'm just like, oh, this is like Disneyland for him.
Pretty much.
That's really cool, though, in the first few minutes of the movie where they're able to introduce everybody. Like, everyone gets a good chance to shine. Like, with Bakugo and Todoroki. That particular scene where they're trying to one-up each other. I honestly thought Deku was going to, like, beat Bakugo by, like, 1 second. But no, it's Todoroki. And I'm like, oh.
Of course it's Todoroki.
Can't quite give everything to Deku. But Deku, though, speaking of Deku, he had a lot of great improvements that he was able to work with. Like, near the end where he's doing all this fancy flippy stuff and he's, like, kicking ass and all that good stuff. I'm watching this and I'm like, this is a huge improvement for him, and I'm really fascinated by this.
Oh, yeah. He really steps up his game in this movie, especially in that big final fight.
The dude jumped up and took on a helicopter, and I'm watching this like, dude, do you have any... That's a helicopter, man. Like, that... Okay, please don't die. Yeah. Oh, wait, he can't die. There's a third season. Never mind. Go ahead.
Yeah,
be crazy.
No one's in danger of dying. The story's still going.
Everyone here has plot armor. Just about.
Pretty much. And yeah, that was another thing that I was trying to figure out where this placed chronologically, because Deku wasn't relying on kicking things yet.
They gave them that gauntlet thing, which ended up kind of being like destroyed at the end. So I'm like, so what was the point of that? Yeah,
it's like, oh, we introduced this thing that really could help you, be able to use your fists more, but that's not going to be a thing in the show. So
that explains why it's not in the show, basically.
Mm-hmm.
It was just really cool to see, like, the very end where they both do, like, the double punch. I'm like, that is something I think fans have been wanting to see for a long time.
Oh, for sure, yeah. They really gave you the final piece that everyone's been waiting for, so...
there was a lot of good...
The payoff is really good. But I'm gonna say that in terms of villains, I think it's pretty... I felt like the villains were pretty
lackluster.
I really hate using this word, but a little cliche. I knew the second that David showed up, I'm like, he's up to something. And he's obviously not the big bad guy, and I did like the twist that he thought he was hiring a bunch of actors to pretend to be villains, but no, they're actually villains. And
that was an interesting twist. I felt like the villains were bland. They didn't have any other character besides their quirks, so there wasn't really any reason to invest in them. They're just like, oh, we're here to take over and stuff. And the two things that I noticed, one, screw the butler, because him turning all of a sudden, I'm just like, oh, that's supposed to be a big twist? Okay. And he gets capped for it, so I'm like, well, that's kind of what you get. The second part is
where they have to shoot a guy.
Then they also threw in the whole all for one thing, and I felt like that was kind of just put on like at the very last second to cause another twist. And I'm like, you had enough power there. Really, you didn't need to like throw that little cap on there, because then that confused me. I'm like, wait, when does this take place?
Yeah, that was another thing. I mean, I actually thought it was kind of nice that they put that in there, because I guess it kind of better ties this to the show instead of being like kind of a one-off adventure.
Yeah.
Where this almost seems like, oh, this might actually be necessary viewing, because it, has plot that's relevant to the rest of the show. And it kind of just shows that All for One really has his hands in everything, before he gets punched out and sent in the jail.
Yeah.
But I guess he might still. We got to see how the rest of the show goes. But, but I think Wolfram, which, honestly, I don't remember them actually saying his... Did they actually say his name in the movie?
I don't think they did.
I know, because I was sitting there through the whole movie, like, what is this guy's name? What is Metalface's name?
Metal mask? Like, I was expecting, maybe he was, there's some, like, interesting character him, like, who's under the mask or something, but even then, that amounts to pretty much nothing, so you're left with a guy that basically is super strong and has to be taken down. There's nothing else to him.
It's like, well, I'm going to take this power enhancer that we stole for David, and I'm going to use it for my own reasons.
Woo, go villain that I'm supposed to care about. Yay.
He's no Hans Gruber.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't even say it's that. Like, he didn't fall to his death. He just got double punched to, like, not death, I think. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't... Yeah. Villain-wise, I think this movie's kind of falls short, but the whole
this is my hero academia, not my villain academy. So.
Exactly. The whole section of the movie where it's based, like you said, is basically Die Hard. It's a tower siege, where the students are trying to find their way up this tower because it's been locked down by the villains who have everybody hostage.
I like that part, personally. I liked how everyone was able to work together, get some chemistry, get some good comedy scenes in. Mm-hmm. Even Mineta, who I still can't stand, but at least he got something funny out of it.
I don't think anybody likes Mineta, honestly.
I understand why he was there, but, there were some really good, clever moments. It was great to see them work together as a team. It was great to see that, they're not just... I like that it wasn't just the Deku show and friends. It was everybody working together.
Yeah, and I think that the show... sometimes, obviously Deku's the main character, so it likes to focus on him a lot, but I think at its heart, My Hero Academia is more of an ensemble show.
Yeah, as it should be.
Because it has this wide variety of characters, and it's like, oh, today we just don't want to focus on Deku. There's a good handful of characters you could do something with.
Exactly. I like that they're able to have already established... if you're a good fan of the show walking into this, you already know a great chunk about the characters, and you know, all the good stuff about them, some of the story arcs they've been through and everything. So it's really cool to see how they actually have some depth and personality. And I bet that even if you're not a fan of it, you could walk in here and still at least have some idea.
Well, see, that's kind of the double-edged thing that I understand why it's there, but I also have a problem that it's there, is that they give you the Cliff Notes version of what this show is. They do the entire intro to the show where Deku explains that, Earth is a superhuman society. This is how I got my powers, and here's a quick rundown of everything that's happened on the show up to this point.
I didn't see a problem with that, personally.
I didn't... like I said, I understand why it's there for anybody who might be coming into this movie blind, who has no idea what this is about, but as someone who has seen the show and knows everything that happens like this, and as someone who thinks the show really relies on flashbacks a lot, that whole section, which honestly it's only like maybe 2 minutes, even if that, it just seemed to bog down that section for me personally. But I know I get why it's there.
The funny thing is that a lot of people said the movie wasn't very good. Like, I remember hearing before going to see it that reviews for this movie weren't very good, and I had a good time with it. I thought it was very well put together. I think it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be, too. It was intense. It had a lot of great action-y moments and comedy moments. Action-y? Mm-hmm. Wow, I have been out of this for too long. Action-y is not a word, Zephyr. But you know what I mean. I felt like it had a good balance. If you're a My Hero fan, you're going to absolutely love this. If you've never seen the show before, at least watch a few episodes before you see this to get some kind of idea.
Yeah. I mean, if you're into any kind of superhero stuff, this is basically Japan doing superheroes right. And I've always found it interesting that superheroes in this context are kind of an American construct.
Yeah.
So it's interesting seeing this and like One Punch Man, where Japan is doing their own twist on Americanized superheroes. And I really think Hero Academia gets it right. What?
No, I was just saying, they're trying to copy off the success of the Marvel movies. No, that's not.
Hey, man, if it gets to stuff like this, I'm not complaining with them being influenced.
No, I'm not either. I think that My Hero Academia 2 Heroes, amidst all the Marvel and DC movies that came out recently, as well as Incredibles 2 that just recently came out, this is a nice little fresh take. Because if you're too busy like being emotionally traumatized by Infinity War, go ahead and watch this. You'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty lighthearted for the most part. Sorry. I mean, it obviously there is a scene where they straight up just shoot a guy to death.
Yeah, but thankfully it's not like anything super graphic.
No. But yeah, I mean, it's flashy, it's fun, the action is really well choreographed. I think every character gets a moment to really show off what they can do. Like, I mean, I love that they use Jiro all the time for reconnaissance stuff, or there's that scene where it's like, we can get up through that shaft, but it's too tiny. Who are we going to send?
And they all just look at Mineta. I got a good chuckle out of that.
I just love that scene. They're like, who are we going to get? And they just keep going back and forth. It's like, yeah, I mean, someone have to be pretty small, and they just keep going for like 20, 30 seconds, and they just finally just turn around and look at him. So even he gets something to do. But yeah, I think in terms of the first outing for Hero Academia as a movie, I think they pulled this off really well.
Yeah. Most anime movies don't... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, it fits really well in with the rest of the show, so it doesn't feel out of place at all. So yeah, if you're a fan of Hero Academia, then I think you would definitely enjoy this.
Considering also that anime movies don't usually do very well in theaters, I've heard that this movie has like already set a few box office records. And for that, I say good to them. I say good for them because that just shows how, I guess, not just how popular My Hero is right now, but also how invested fans are into it.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely go see it. Like, wait for the English dub when it eventually comes out. I remember just at the end of the movie, I'm thinking, so how much of this are they going to cut for the English dub? What aren't they going to show?
So yeah, that's something interesting, because you said you saw the sub version. Mm-hmm. I actually saw the dub version.
Oh, so the dub version is in theaters. Okay, I probably just picked the wrong showing or whatever, but it would have been nice to see the dub version, but
yeah,
that's okay. That means I get to see this movie twice.
Yeah, there you go. And actually, that's another thing. I would be interested to see this subbed, even though, and I've said it a few times in our show before, I'm not as big into watching sub shows anymore.
I don't like reading subtitles.
Honestly, it's not that I don't mind reading it. It's just that when I'm watching TV, I'm also usually doing something else. But if there's subtitles, I have to pay attention the entire time. But I watch Pokemon Sun and Moon in Japanese, so
hey, I like subtitles as well. I really only do that in case the characters are really whispering and I can't really understand what they're saying. Speak up. They do this in all the action movies where they're just like, we have to talk very quiet because we're serious. Know. And I'm just leaning in. I'm just like, can you please? I have to turn the movie up just to hear the people talking, and then I have to turn the movie back down because there's usually an explosion or action scenes. Thank God this does not happen here. People just talk normally and they don't end up whispering half the time.
Yeah, it's gotten pretty bad in media today that my wife has the subtitles on our Hulu account just permanently turned on.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Just in case.
There's really nothing wrong with having subtitles on, I think. I mean, in case you miss something, that's totally fine.
I want to just look this up 1 second. You were talking about the box office numbers. I want to see if it has...
I believe I think it was number 3 somewhere in terms of anime movies having a good box office run. I believe it's number 3 or 4.
Yeah, because this came out on Wednesday and was in theaters for a week. And I think they said by Friday it had made about $2 million.
Which is, I mean, that's pretty good, I would think.
For an anime movie, that's great in this day and age. I think I'm looking at Box Office Mojo. It says as of the 1st, it's made a little over $4 million.
Oh, okay, that's really good then.
So good for them. And honestly, I think that's really good for other films, because I know Funimation and Crunchyroll have been really, in the last year or two, really pushing to get anime movies in the theaters over here.
Yeah, and they're probably worried about box office and reviews and stuff and wondering, how are people going to like it? If My Hero can get a room packed full of people who are absolutely thrilled to see this, if you were to do this with, say, I think they already did this with Dragon Ball, and I'm pretty sure that went over well pretty too, but it's anime movies in theaters are a good thing. It's just hard to figure out which ones. If you go with and this is really unfortunate, if you go with an original movie that no one's heard of before, of course it's not going to do very well because it has no brand, it has nothing to it. But if you put out Dragon Ball or My Hero or Sailor Moon or any other anime that's very well known, has a big name attached to it, people are going to go see it. So it's not really, it's unfortunate. But the bigger your name is, the bigger chance that your movie will probably succeed in terms of the anime scene.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it even kind of helps that they're putting these out as limited releases where they're only in theaters for a week. So
that's
even
enough
if
to get people to go, honestly.
Yeah, even if it doesn't do well, I mean, they're not losing as much on it because it's only in theaters for a week. So. It really kind of puts some urgency on people to go see it, because it's you only have 7 days to go see it before it's out.
Do I call in sick, or do I just wait?
Right, exactly.
That's basically what it comes down to.
Yeah, so, like I said earlier, I think this is a really well put together movie. I think it's very, I think it is exactly what My Hero's first movie should be.
It's basically just an extended episode with a lot of great flashy moments here and there. And they didn't change anything. They stuck with the formula. They stuck with what worked. And it's everything that a fan of it can expect. So definitely go see it if you have the chance. Wait for the English dub if you have to. But definitely give this movie a chance. If you're a My Hero fan, you're going to love it. If you're not a big My Hero fan, now's a pretty good time to get into the show, I think.
Yeah. I mean, the seasons are only 13 episodes long, and I think they're just about to wrap up the 3rd season, so
and a 4th
it's not hard to
already
marathon
announced.
through. Yeah, so it's gonna keep going, and so I like you said, if you're any kind of superhero fan, I think this is definitely something you should check out.
And if you're not a superhero fan, what is wrong with you? If you're just sitting there la la la, I can't hear you, Marvel, I can't hear you, DC.
Well, I got my own issues with DC, but Zephyr, is there anything else you want to say before we wrap it up today?
Stay in school, don't do drugs, eat your teeth.
Honestly, that's probably the most wholesome ending we've had in a while. All right, so yes, keep that advice in mind, kids, and thanks for listening.
Don't actually eat your teeth. I was just kidding at the end. Don't actually eat your teeth.
Yeah. Maybe don't do that part, but all the other stuff, do that. But Zephyr, thank you for being on this week. It was really good to talk about some anime with you.
Yeah, man, thanks for having me. I hope to come back to this. This is actually pretty fun.
Yeah, totally. And everyone else, thank you for listening, and we will catch you again next week.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Ink and Paint Club podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you can catch a new episode every week. Also be sure to follow us on our Facebook and Twitter so you can keep up with the show. Links are in the description. We'll see you next week.